James,
What's up, big guy?
what's going on, brother?
Oh, just trying to save the world.
Can the world be saved?
I don't decide that. Everybody else does. I'm just along for the ride.
All the keyboard gangsters?
Oh, no. Everybody, I saw what might be my favorite meme of the past 6 months. Um,
And you like a lot of memes, so I'm interested in
like a lot
hearing.
of memes. It said, and I mean, this is only one example. You could put it in everything from everything to what we do for a living, but it said, it was like a little animated character of like an old school like police officer like on a cartoon from years ago,
Yeah.
and it said and it says, if I was a cop, by everyone on the internet.
By now that is hilarious.
It is.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are here with my guy, my brother, my friend, James Taulbee.
How you
James,
doing, brother?
tell me a little bit about what you do, man. Where are you right
What
now?
I do?
Yeah,
Okay, I was about to say this thing that I do.
yeah.
So I am the owner of Fire for Effect Athletics in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and there's a lot of things that would be recognizable if anyone was to walk into my gym. There would be even more things that aren't recognizable for people that walked into my gym. I think the average CrossFitter would walk in here and go, "Oh, this is a CrossFit." And in regards to the textbook definition, high intensity, constantly varied functional movements, you would be absolutely correct. But the non-commonalities start to fall in with what we do, what we focus our methodology around, rather, in that kind of the norm, as you know, with most CrossFits out there, is they formulate everything around Olympic weightlifting. We don't do that. We're kind of the antithesis of that in that we focus everything around the sports of strongman and powerlifting. So yes, we work with barbells. Yes, we work with bumper plates and all the accoutrement people are used to. But I also have kegs. I have Atlas stones. I have a fire hydrant. I have circus dumbbells, and the list just goes on. Anytime I find something heavy and odd and weird, I bring it, as long as it's safe, I bring it into my gym.
We can question
Because
what
life
safe actually means, right?
Yeah, indeed. You got to accept some risk. You just have to. And probably the center of what this gym is, for me anyway, is that we're a place for everyone as long as you're a good person. In that I've seen a lot of gyms, and it breaks my heart to say this for the record, kind of eat themselves from the inside out via just a few bad eggs. You know what I mean? Just clicks form, and there's a certain attitude that comes along, sadly, with a lot of people who are more competition minded. And by the way, I'm not questioning their humanity. Bless their hearts. They can. There's plenty of places you can train, but I want this to be the place where everyone is comfortable, no one is judged, everyone helps each other, and the center of what we do is, with being a veteran-owned establishment, we have a big focus on the veteran community. From my own personal experience, physical fitness is a great way to kind of help reintegrate veterans back into a little bit of normalcy.
And just to kind of piggyback off what you said about your gym kind of being welcoming to everyone, I met you in your gym.
You did?
You were hosting at the time, CrossFit Strongman seminar with Rob Orlando. And
Yep.
you managed to get on that staff just as they were making that weird change of disassembling all of the different courses that CrossFit used to offer.
Yep.
The moment I walked in your gym, I felt like I wanted to be a fucking member there. As a gym owner, I've been to a lot of different gyms, and you usually leave there like, oh, they had some nice equipment and, the coach was decent. but you almost always identify things that you see that those gyms are doing wrong.
Right.
When I came to your place, though, and I tell you this shit all the time, I came to your place and I felt like, man, this is a place that I would love to be able to. If this dude wasn't in Philly, like an hour and a half, 2 hours away, depending on traffic, man, I would leave my gym and go work out there with those guys.
And we'd take you in a heartbeat.
You had one of the most, probably the most diverse communities in the functional fitness world that I've ever seen. And not to say that I've been to every one. I'm pretty sure there are some fairly diverse ones somewhere out there. Just speaking to ones where I've gone, I can definitely attest to you certainly have the most diverse one in the state of Pennsylvania.
I'll take it.
And you are a no-nonsense kind of person. You spoke to how welcoming or how everything is centered around the veteran community, and that's because you are a veteran, correct?
Correct. Yep.
Are you still active?
I am. Actually, maybe a little bit of your comic relief for the day. I would be retired right now if it wasn't for COVID-19.
No shit.
Yep. So now, everything's starting to dissipate a little bit. There's just certain appointments and things like that you have to go through when you're retiring from the military. And that was all put on hold. And now I have to redo those and continue my march toward retirement.
I know you're ready for retirement.
It's getting hard to hide all this hair, man. I got to pull it back in the morning and then it gets gelled in place.
You look like you were pulled out of the 1960s at times.
That's what I'm going for.
Jamming out. You play the guitar.
Actually, I'm looking at one of them right now.
And you sing.
Sometimes a little bit.
You guys have like a family band. Like your family. All you guys like do something when you get together. When you come to, you're originally from York, Pennsylvania, or Baltimore/York.
It's always so difficult. It's always so difficult when people go, "Where are you from?" I'm like, "How do I answer this question?" I was born up in Lebanon County, and then almost immediately we moved down to Maryland after my dad got a job with the Department of Defense at Aberdeen Proving Ground. So a bunch of years in Baltimore, and then out to Harford County, which is Little Baltimore. And then right around the time high school began, my parents had split up by that point, and my dad had moved back across the border into York County, and the rest is history. So that's, I guess, the impressionable years. Yes, I'm from York County, so Dallastown.
You were a track and field coach, I believe.
Oh yeah, yep.
Yeah. So coaching's kind of been in your DNA.
Well, sport got into my DNA real early, and I think that now I know that helped early on. My parents split up when I was 9, and to say that it was messy would be putting it very mildly.
Most of those are.
Yeah. It wasn't good. It's pretty toxic. But I always had sports. And I always had music. So even just playing like Little League baseball and stuff like that when I was a kid, and, Pee Wee football. And then later on, track and field in high school, I had no intention of doing that. A coach solicited me to come try out, and I ended up really liking it. But, football, wrestling, track. I also did, I don't even think you know about this, but in high school, I actually did drama too. So
I did not know that.
Yeah, I was in the musical 3 out of the 4 years of high school. And I used to do this thing. It was like a psychodrama traveling company. The premise of it was you were acting out like real life scenarios that kids may be living through, and we would go to like at-risk youth facilities and stuff like that, and act out these scenarios, and then the kids would get to ask questions to the character that we were in, and it actually when I'm explaining it to this day, it sounds kind of cheesy, but it was effective. Like those kids would like, if I was playing like the abusive dad or something, like they would ask questions and they would get like emotional and stuff. So hopefully it helped sort out some things and help people to face some demons and stuff. You never know.
I just I want people to understand that in a very short time, you have become one of my best fucking friends on the planet in a very, very
Likewise,
short
brother.
time, less than 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And anytime I have some issues related to, and we'll just use the gym. I mean, we can talk about real life, but just in as the gym and from the day I met you, and you said, "Here, man." Well, actually, Hannah wanted to. Hannah friended me on Facebook so we could all share the pictures and all the good stuff. But
Right.
got your number and reached out to you about some gym related stuff because I
Mm-hmm.
really liked the way that you guys set up your programming and the way that you approach coaching and some of the other cool shit that you guys do. And we can kind of get into that. But um, you've never wavered or changed or switched up on me. You've literally always been the same dude. And I don't care what the fuck is going on in your gym or in life with your obligations with the military. You've never changed. Your tone is literally always the same. Sometimes I question if you're even normal
I'm
because
not.
a lot of times, well, and nowadays everybody has their moments.
Mm-hmm.
uh, Social media allows everybody to be an analyst. Everybody is in the media now. And from what I know about you is you don't mind sticking your hands in that mud and unapologetically being who you are. But you also are open to listen.
Absolutely.
Contrary to what's going on out there right now in that shitstorm called
Mm-hmm.
America, right? The country that we
Yeah.
love, the country that
Yep.
you fought for, the country that you served for. You and there, I'm not saying that everyone is the same because to say that would be a bit of prejudice, right? And that's
Sure.
one of those topics that we might even elaborate on a little bit later. But
Sure.
you you always at minimal because you and I don't agree on everything. If someone
Right.
looked at your Facebook and mine, they would say, "These guys, how are they friends?" But if they knew us, they would know that we jokingly are fucking brothers, right? Like
Right.
we literally are always along the same line of thinking. Sometimes it's just a different perception or a different vantage point.
Right.
So in having conversations, we can kind of say, "Oh, well, I didn't think about it that way." You know what? You're right. When you're willing to
Mm-hmm.
listen, you can do that. But if I go into a conversation with you and I'll listen, by the facial expressions, but none of it's
Mm-hmm.
sinking in, and I'm just not willing to allow you to persuade me or to change my thinking. But
Right.
if you and I have a conversation about anything, you're always open to listen. And then you'll say,
Mm-hmm.
well, this is why I agree or this is why I disagree, respectfully. We've
Right.
never argued or fought or, hell, I, I can't even say that we actually disagree because it's usually just another way of putting things.
Right.
And
Mm-hmm.
I think that a lot of that speaks to the different things that you have done in your civilian and in your military career.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so I can appreciate, and I just want people to know out there, I can appreciate like how honest and how real you actually are. And if anyone were to fucking question that, they're insane.
Well, I really appreciate that. There's I like to think of myself as a pretty humble guy. There's not many things in the world that I would like hold myself up and say, "Hey, I'm really good at this thing," because that's just not how I roll. But the one thing I do like to, think of myself as having a good capability of maintaining is objectivity.